Hey YouTube, how you doing? Right, let's talk about something that I think most of us struggle with at one time or another, and it's just simply deciding what is it that we want to achieve. Now, I'm going to call that goals. And I'm calling it goals because if you're anything like me, and typically if you're listening to me, you're a bit like me, then you probably have a past which is defined by whenever you set a goal, you didn't achieve it. And so, therefore, you don't have goals. You have ideas of what it is that you want to do, but you aren't using the power of a goal. And I like to talk about it in terms of this, right? So, this is your past and this is your future. Most of us are sitting here in our past doing the same things we've always done, which means we think the same ways, we show up the same ways, we act the same ways, we respond the same ways, we do things as we've done them in the same way. And oftentimes we want a different future, right? We want to have something different, whether that is more money, a different job, a better body, more results when it comes to horse riding, being able to have a better relationship, whatever it is, we just want something that is different. And so I will use this tool. It's one of the ones inside of my club, which I just call the pattern interrupt tool, because here's what I know to be true. Your past will become your future, which is why we have such things as leopards can't change their spots, those sorts of cliches, which supports the idea that people don't change. People show you who they are and then they don't change. Which I actually think, when we take a step back, is rather ironic because if you think about who you were when you were 18, whether or not you actively tried to change, you are not always your 18-year-old self now. Or when we think about when we were in our careers and we started off as one thing and ended up as something else, that's change, that's evolution. Now, here's where it gets interesting because for me, if I look at my career, my change in my evolution was dramatic, right? I literally went from being this, how old I am, a typist in a typing pool, right up to being a program manager. You couldn't get more distinct than that. However, I stayed the same. My thinking stayed the same. The way I interacted with the world stayed the same. It was from my childhood, right? So, although the past and the future did look different, how I felt was the same. So, when we want to actually create a new identity, and what do I mean by a new identity? We just want to let go of who we were in the past. So, for me, a lot of who I was in the past was a very negative way of interpreting the world. I responded instead of reacted to a lot of things. Responded means that things happened outside and I responded to them. I didn't take the control back into me. So a lot of that I wanted to change and lose as my identity. I wanted to be a happier, calmer, um, less emotional and reactive human. So that would show up in everything. And I'm very fond of saying how we do one thing is how we do everything. And that is the power of change. Because if you're trying to build a business online or make money online, then here's the nice thing about that. You can practice to make money online by keeping your kitchen clean. You can practice making money online by going for a 5K run and making sure that it's more than you thought you could do. Because how we do one thing is how we do everything. And there's that sort of very common thing how this is your comfort zone, and then this is your stretch, and then this is your panic, right? We never want to be working in our panic zones, but we absolutely, if we're going to change our identity, so we leave our past identity behind and become our future human, we have to live here in the stretch zone. And I say live there, but what I mean is to change internally who we are will require us to change the way that we think, the way that we feel, the way that we act, and the results we get will be from those things, right? And if we want to change that, we're going to have to change our habits, our patterns, and therefore our routines. Now, when we get to a certain age, we are hardwired. We get up and we do the exact same thing every single day. And if we don't do it, something feels a bit off, which is why holidays are an interesting concept, right? Vacations, because you do remove yourself from what is familiar and you do create a different habit pattern or routine because of the location that you're in. But here's the thing, when you get home, you fall back into it. So if we're trying to change identity, so you're trying to go from somebody who is struggling, who is finding life very difficult, um, and if you want it to be less emotional, less and that those things I call intangible, but more tangible, you want a new career, you want a different body, you want a business that makes money, you want to be seen in the world as somebody who is different to who you are today. That's an identity change. So in order to do that, we have to drop some of these. So a lot of it is, what are we prepared to let go of so that we can leave our past in the past and create a new future? And this is a new future identity. It's a lot. So I had to develop tools for me to always use to remind my brain to do this work. Because if I am not conscious of this, then I end up recycling my past into my future. So each year looks pretty much the same. I might be around different people, I might be in a different location, but I can create the same environment because I feel and think the same things. So what I have done is, this is one of my tools, right? And I simply call this the pattern interrupt tool. And all that means is that I check in with myself regularly to go, are my habits, patterns, routines the same as they were yesterday? And if the answer is yes, then guess what's going to happen? My future will be my past. But if the answer is no, then I know I'm breaking habits, patterns, and routines. And I am starting to change my identity. So that's just one quick tool that I use as a check-in. I have Think, Plan, and Prosper frameworks as well. And the reason I have those is because, you guys, if you've been with me long enough, you know I talk about a little critter. And that little critter, I give a name, and I call him Larry. And Larry is that, right? He's all of these things from my past self. And Larry's job, bless his cotton socks. And I think about him in a cave. And his job is to stay in that cave. And his job is to keep me doing exactly what I've always done, because for him that means safety. That means I'm not at risk. And his job is to keep me away from anything that triggers a fear. And when we're working in this stretch zone, when we're changing who we are, that's fear. Because we are starting to have to deal with things we didn't want to deal with. So I have to call him Larry, because my thinking left on my own, I can get very negative. I call it a negative spiral, because what happens is I start to think one thought that's not exactly positive, and then before I know it, all of its friends turn up, and I'm down here. And the Dutch have a saying, "Ik sit in de put," which is I sit in a hole. And I would do that all the time, and then the world would be shitty, and I wouldn't be liked, and all of the things would carry on. So in order for me to not beat myself up for all of my past failures, mistakes, missed opportunities, behavior, I had to give it a name, and I decided Larry the Lizard. There was a game, I think, when I was about 12 called Larry the Lounge Room Lizard. That's where I got it from. And so when I think Larry's doing something, because I can feel that I'm going down a slippery pathway, it lets me giggle. It lets me give a bit of a sigh of relief, and then I can refocus back to the goal. Now, I said goals right at the beginning because for me, in order to change my identity, to get results I haven't had before, I need to create this tiny steps of improvement, not bloody great big leaps, which is what we get marketed to, right? Lose weight in 30 days. get a new job in 5 seconds, whatever it is. I don't even want to go there, but you guys know what I mean. We need to do small, tangible steps because these small things are usually here in the stretch zone. If we want a different body, we have to work it. So that's the decision of, well, I can already lift a 5 kilo weight without much effort. So I'm in my comfort zone. But if I want to get stronger muscles, I'm going to have to lift a 7 or a 10 kilo weight. So I'm stretching. So it's heavier. So that's the sort of work I'm talking about. If we're building a business, there will be some things that you now find very simple that maybe you didn't in the beginning. Those simple things compound to enable you to do something a little more challenging and a little more challenging and a little more challenging. That is the steps that you need to change your future. Because if you don't do these, and if you have had a habit of doing this, where you over expected a result, so your expectation was super high and you didn't meet it, you often feel despondent or that you failed or that you aren't good enough. And that's what causes you to come crashing down and to stay stuck in your past. And for Larry to get back into the control seat. So that's why I'm much happier for teeny tiny goals. So we're going to have what I call your active goals. And by active goals, I just mean little steps we can track because at the end of the day, we want to have either an impossible, but I like to call it a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal, because big, hairy, audacious goals are what transforms us. It brings us forward. It's what's way up here or here that you're trying to do, and whether you achieve it or not isn't the point. It's the process of changing habits, changing patterns, changing routines, changing how you think and feel so you can act differently and get better results. And that's why I now love goals and I embrace them because it's another way of me, particularly these little active goals. So what's a little active goal? I am on a mission this year to get a lot stronger because I want to ride a lot more effectively. My horses ride my horses, and I'm getting older. So we all know that as women, as we get older, our bone and our muscle density decreases unless we work it. So that's what I'm on. So one of my little goals here is that I will get back to running 5Ks 3 days a week. Another one of my little goals is my weight training. Another one of my little goals would be Pilates. I'll set a thing. I'll say, I want to use my reformer 10 times a month. So if I use it for 10 days in a row, I don't care. If I use it for every second day, I don't care. The goal was 10 days. I now have an active goal that contributes to my BHAG, which is still to ride and train to Grand Prix. So I can now track my progress. I want to track my progress because in order to do this stuff, I have to change habits, patterns, and routines. I have to change my past me. And that enables me to use a tool like this to check in. So I can look at it at night and go, well, what did I achieve? Who did I become in the process? What did I alter or change? Did I step into my stretch zone? And that allows me to have my own little wake up calls every single day. So I could carry on talking about this stuff till the cows come home, as you know, which is why my YouTube channel is called The Rambles, because I ramble. But what I'm hoping is that I've given you a teeny tiny insight into how you can actually change, into how you can actually be the leopard that does change the spots, because nothing is done until we're in the ground. And so it doesn't really matter if you're 20, 60, 80, 100. If you have a goal or a desire, you are the one that stands in your own way because you can achieve it. I truly believe that if there is something that you want to achieve right now, then it's usually within your power to achieve it. What do I mean by that? I would love to be a princess, right? I used to grow up with that princess thing where I would get adopted and blah, 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 all that malarkey, but it's not really a desire or a goal. It's a fantasy. So a goal is, for me, riding my horses to Grand Prix. It's achievable. It's 100% achievable if I'm prepared to make sure I don't keep patterns of the past in today. I have to change them. So that's what I mean. You will have something inside of you that you want to achieve that is absolutely possible for you, but you will have to change who you are in that process. You will have to change what your thoughts are and how those thoughts control you so that you can feel more empowered. I like to say you don't have to be positive, you just have to be empowered. And that is the key, because when we're feeling empowered, we get to act differently and we are more likely to stay in the stretch zone and do something that tests us, that challenges us, that we have to struggle through to get a different result so that Larry isn't driving the bus and being in charge. So, this is the key to it. And this is the work I love to do. This is the type of person I love to help, because in helping you guys, I help myself, because this is constant work. I wish that you sort of got to a place, you get to here and you're on the top of the mountain and you're going, yeah, I'm done. But the truth is this is evolving, it's everlasting, because you're always playing this game between my past and my future. And the people that I tend to work with have pasts that they can have moments of being incredibly proud of, but they don't want their past in their future. They want to create and carve out something differently. So if that is you, then please email me, let's connect, or come join me in my BFF club, because this is the work that we do every single day. This is the work that we are mindful about. And I always say, when you're in a group of people who are going through the same process, and honestly, the result doesn't matter. Are you building a business? Are you losing weight? Are you looking for a new job? Are you getting fit? Are you trying to train your horse? It doesn't matter, because this process is identical. And like I keep saying, how we do one thing is how we do everything. So if you're a business owner and you are struggling in your business, you'll also be struggling to change your life. Remember, you got to do something that pushes you every single day, and that's the quickest, fastest way. So I'm going to fermer la bouche and call this one a done one. If you stayed till the end, which I hope you did, please give me a thumbs up. Feel free to leave a comment. And the only way I can grow my channel and grow my business is through people like you telling other people about me. So if this was helpful, please feel free to tell your friends and invite them to come over and subscribe to my little YouTube channel. I would be indebted. Otherwise, have a wonderful day, and I will catch you on the next one.